Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. Welcome to the Prog Corner, boys and girls. I am Scott. I'll be your host, and I was just outside, so it's going to be fun watching my transition glasses change during this video. Had to walk the dog before I shoot this. You know how it goes. But today on the channel, man, the algorithm did you good. Yeah, we're talking about the Tyrants of Prog, man. Prog's biggest tyrannical voices. People with personalities and egos so big that they completely domineered their group and, sometimes steered them in the wrong direction, sometimes put them into the realm of the solo artist pretty quick because the rest of the band said, no, we can't deal with that. And there's a few people I thought about. I'm doing a top 10 today. Richie Blackmore, I thought about him. Why do you run... Richard Glover and Ian Gillan out of Deep Purple, man. That takes some tyrannical thinking to do that. John Petrucci. I guess it's pretty obvious who runs Dream Theater these days. Ozzy Osbourne, he's a tyrant, but not really prog. Andy Latimer, he runs Camel with an iron fist, but, he's such a nice guy. There's nothing really tyrannical about his reign. There's no reign of terror in Camel. Same applies with Hans Lunden and Kaipa. He runs that thing with an iron fist, but, the people in the band know it, so there's no hard feelings. Peter Hamill, kind of the same thing with the Vandergraaf Generator. Peter Gabriel, was he a tyrant? Well, I got another pick from Genesis as the real tyrant of that band, but at number 10, for the Tyrants of Prog, I'm going with Todd Rundgren, man. This guy here just doesn't play well with others. Ask Andy Partridge, the guy definitely has a vision, and when he steps into the recording studio, it doesn't matter if it's your band and your songs and your lyrics, it's going to be Todd's way or the highway. And that's what happens when you produce Bat Out of Hell. You all of a sudden start thinking you're the greatest producer in the world. Todd's a good producer, but he's not all that in a bag of chips. I like him, but I find his production to be extremely trebly. He forgets about the low end all the time. Yeah, Todd Rundgren is an absolute tyrant, but when you get the talent of Todd, it's allowed. We'll allow it, absolutely. At number 9, for the biggest tyrants in Prague, how about Tobias Forge, or however you pronounce his name, Papa Emeritus or Cardinal Copia, whatever dude man's name is, the lead singer and leader of the band Ghost, the great Swedish band. Now, this guy is such a tyrant that he wouldn't even name any of his bandmates. They were just a group of nameless ghouls. So at some point they decided, we're tired of not getting paid. This guy ain't paying us, so they sued him. So he went ahead and he had to, release all his financial information, including his real name and that of his bandmates. So he just fired them all and started a new band. That's how you do it when you're a tyrant, man. Absolutely. At number 8, the real tyrant of Genesis was never Peter Gabriel, man. Except for The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, where he kind of put his foot down and said, I'm writing all these lyrics and you guys are just going to put up with it. Up until that point, it was a very democratic thing. But the real driving force, the real voice behind every decision that was made in Genesis was Tony Banks, man. Tony was the absolute tyrant in this band, man. The reality is that Peter Gabriel, every time he tried to exert some authority over the band, it was Peter Banks just stepping on him. And when Gabriel finally did convince the rest of the band to kind of do his own thing, for The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Funny, that was his last album with the band because band can only have one tyrant, right? And it wasn't going to be Peter Gabriel. Tony Banks was going to win that battle every time. He won that battle, and Gabriel went off and did his own thing because he wasn't in control, so he had to leave at number 7. For Tyrants of Prog, the biggest tyrannical voices in our beloved genre, and we got to talk about Steve Harris for a little bit. Number 7. Steve Harris, Iron Maiden's Prog. I don't care what anybody says. And Steve Harris is the absolute tyrant of that band, man. Nothing happens in Iron Maiden without Harry's approval. He is the voice of the band, the voice of reason. He's the soul. He's the heart. He's everything in that band, man. And you just look at the songwriting credits throughout their 17 albums. It's been Steve Harris and a little sprinkling of Bruce and a little sprinkling of, Adrian, maybe a little bit of, what's his name, Murray, but it's Steve Harris's band. It's always been Steve Harris's band. It's his vision. What he says goes, absolutely. And this is a case where it works out for the best, because if you're gonna have a tyrant in the band, you want somebody like Steve Harris that actually delivers the goods instead of just talks about it. Yeah, absolutely. And number 6, biggest tyrants in Prague. How about Roine Stolt? Yeah, Roine Stolt runs the Flower Kings like a tyrant, and it is his band, He's had to go on the record as saying, it ain't like the 70s, man. The Flower Kings were never like a band of democracy where everybody had equal input, everybody had equal output as far as revenue sharing and stuff like that. This was always Roine Stolt's band. He put it together. It's his, finances on the line every time a new record comes out. He's the primary guy in every sense of the word. Everybody else was kind of like a hired hand in the band, kind of still is. So some people can deal with that, some people cannot. But if you're in Roine Stolt's band, you're going to be playing by Roine Stolt's rules. And I guess maybe that was part of the problem with Transatlantic, right? That was a little more of a democracy, and it's a little harder to deal with when when you're Roine Stolt and you're used to being the shot caller and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, he's at number 6. At number 5, top 5, here we go. The biggest tyrants in the history of Prague. I got John Anderson, and oh yeah, don't be fooled by that nice, peaceful, hippy dippy, love kind of stuff. Everything's just so beautiful, and I love my wife Janie, and everything's so great. This guy is hardcore, man. You don't want to be in a band with John Anderson. Trust me, you do not want to be in a band with John Anderson, because he's going to get sick one day. And then he's going to announce, yeah, I'll come back, but I'm only coming back if I get 50%. And, at the time, you still had Alan White and Chris Squire and Steve Howe in the band. They're like, we love you, dude, but that's not happening. You're a tyrant. You're going away. You're not the lead singer of Yes anymore. Sad but true. That's how that worked, man. I hate to say it, all you John Anderson people out there. He's not as nice as you think he is. He's really not. Don't let that pot smoke and hippie fool you. At number 4, man, you gotta go with Ian Anderson. And yeah, Jethro Tull has been his band from the word Jump Street, and we get that. Everybody has always had to, kind of deal with his rules, but he makes this list primarily just because of the sorry-ass treatment of Martin Barr. This is just ridiculous. The guy didn't want to leave Jethro Tull. He had no intentions of leaving Jethro Tull, but Ian Anderson got a little, burr up his butt or something and decided he didn't want to play with Martin anymore. Maybe he was tired of sharing the limelight like Jethro Tull was Martin and Ian. No, it's not. It's my band. I'm the only one in Jethro Tull. It's ridiculous. It's horrible. The band, they've had good guitarists since Martin Barr left, but come on, man. You don't replace Martin Barr unless you absolutely have to, and he didn't have to, and he did, so I don't know why. He's a tyrant, man. He's an absolute tyrant, but I like what he did on the new Opeth album at number 3. I'm going with Roger Waters. Of course, Roger Waters makes this list. Yeah, he was a tyrant. He kind of took over Pink Floyd right around the time of Wish You Were Here. And then by the time Animals came, it was the Roger Waters show, absolutely. And the tension and the friction in the band was such that something had to give, and this guy, Roger Waters, had to be jettisoned from the band. But he wasn't done yet. He was going to take him to court and try to sue and make sure the 3 other guys in the band, 2 of which were founding members, by the way, could not use the name Pink Floyd. It was a disaster. It was ridiculous. Thank God Roger Waters lost that fight. But here we go. He's still a tyrant, and it's 2025, man. And at number 2, for the biggest tyrants in Prague, how about Robert Fripp? Right? I mean, you got a lot of band leaders that, control the band with an iron fist, and a lot of times they get this reputation like, oh, he's hard to work with, he's a difficult artist, this, that, and the other thing. All that applies to Robert Fripp, but you really don't hear people complaining too much, right? Because if you join King Crimson, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into, and if you don't, you should have. Fripp being the only consistent member in the band over the years, Fripp being the one that controls it, all the aspects of King Crimson completely controlled in his iron fist. And like I said, nobody seemed to complain too much because, being a member of King Crimson is a nice feather in your cap. Absolutely. But I think they're done, man. We're just going to have to enjoy beat and be happy with that. And at number one for the biggest tyrants in the history of prog, you know who's number one. It's got to be Frank Zappa, man. This guy was an absolute tyrant. He was a tyrant way back in the day. When he was dealing with the Mothers of Invention, it was always his band. Nobody was confused about whose band that was. It surely wasn't Jimmy Carl Black running the show. It was Frank the whole time. Everybody knew it. And as his career went on, you hear all these stories about him, getting bored or tired and just changing his band and, in a whim, just waking up one morning and say, this band's over, I'm going to have a new band. And, stories about him admonishing his players after each show. In the third song, the second verse, the third measure, you played a B instead of a B flat. I'm taking $1,000 out of your paycheck. Yeah, that was Frank Zappa, man. I wouldn't want to play for him. He was an absolute tyrant in every single way. He controlled every aspect of his music with an iron fist. And you know what? If you're a genius of the caliber of Frank Zappa, why wouldn't you do that? I'd do the same thing if I were Frank Zappa. Anyway, boys and girls, tomorrow I am reviewing the brand new album from Pattern Seeking Animals, Friend to All Creatures. It's their 5th album, their first for Giant Electric P. I'm really, really excited about it. It's a fantastic album. And then we're going to have the main man himself, John Baygold from Pattern Seeking Animals, on the show Sunday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be amazing. Anyway, boys and girls, I love you. Peace in the Middle East. Free the Ukraine. Free Tibet. Free your mind, free Willie, free beer, and God save the king. Save King Chucky. Oh no, King Chucky's not doing so good. Bring that boy to America. Oh yeah, bring him to America where we can show him all kinds of good things. We got good doctors over here. We got good pastors over here. We got everything over here that King Chucky could possibly need. We even got a guy that thinks he's a king, so come on over, teach him how to be a king, Chucky. Teach Donald Trump how to be a king. Do it the right way. Oh, and then we're going to dance with some snakes in honor of the Super Bowl victors, the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to come swooping down and take these snakes. Oh, there they go. An eagle just took both of those snakes away. Congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. I love you guys. Peace.